Safety and influence. It's been in the news lately. Did you know that your status with your state licensing department may soon change without your knowledge? Time is fast approaching to know exactly what's going on. The term prohibited status and restricted is going to be bantered about more and more in the news. We're talking about that today. And when you look to the industry, are you worried enough to become a forward thinker? Are you protected? I'm not talking about pew-pews. I'm talking about information, knowledge, skills, information about fraud and scams. We're covering all of that and more, giving you the news and the views, and helping you help others make trucking great again.
Shall we begin?
From the trenches of trucking experience and the passionate heavyweight in the Truth in Broadcasting Network, welcome to Truckin' City News Frontline Podcast, hosted by the most opinionated broadcaster on YouTube, Boss Man.
Otherwise known as the El Rushbo, because of my tendency to run off with the mouth. Creative way with words and a creative mindset that goes like a rocket ship non-stop while I'm driving. I constantly think of things that affect you on the road, that affect me every day. And I look at said things and bring them to you the same way the greats before us would. I can never touch Rush Limbaugh. I can never touch what he does, but I think I can try and enjoy in the process, trying to at least carry on his legacy. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm bringing you news and views from the industry as it happens, and I'm bringing it to you to talk about. It's not just a discussion for the sake of discussion. It's a discussion I hope will come around to change trucking as we know it today. I'm starting a movement. I'm starting this with the idea that long after I'm gone, people will long remember exactly what it is I stand for. I stand for freedom and the truth. I stand for the right to be able to get the job done, carry on, and keep moving day in and day out. I'm hoping this show is heard by many and shared by everyone. The more people share in common knowledge and interests, opinions, and viewpoints on ways to solve everyday issues, the more we learn. And learning is everything we do. And much like Rush himself said, everything you do is up to you. Friends, if you want to become part of the show, just simply call our studio line, 860-785-3547. We will gladly give you your moment to sound off on issues you think are important or on your opinion of the stories we cover. I don't just talk about stories. I talk about the issues as well. If you have an idea for a story you'd like covered and something you think is important to you and should be important to everyone, send it to us by email. That's truckinnews@outlook.com. That's truckinnews@outlook.com. I will give you the time it deserves and the research we all deserve, because we are all one under the eyes of God. And it is our duty to carry on and protect everything this industry stands for. We are, as I am coining the phrase right now, one United States of trucking. You're going to see that more and more often because that's what drives me. That's what makes this channel and you people contributing to the show so possible. I want it to go places. I encourage you, share this with everyone you know in the trucking industry, friends, family, and anyone that would benefit from this. Because, my friends, we have only just begun. If you want to join the show, click the link inside on the description, in the chat, pinned below, pinned above, everywhere. I mean, I make it plain as day. Click that StreamYard link, authenticate. You can come up, be part of the panel, just like everybody I'm bringing on here in a moment. We are the show all others cannot be. You count, your voice matters, and that's what it's all about. So if you're not already a subscriber, please consider, like the show, stick around. I promise you it will be worth it. We are talking today about a number of issues, but one I'm going to headline the show with is about the restrictions coming your way in November. Bet you thought it was about the election. No, it's not about the election. You know what? We're addressing a looming crisis that could sideline a staggering 171,000 people as of this moment. That's right, folks. The Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration has sounded the alarm, and they've said enough's enough. So they're tightening up the requirements on what is currently the return to duty status if you are deemed in the clearinghouse as prohibited or restriction because of a drug conviction, a negative test, or something that affects your ability to operate a commercial motor vehicle. You're then designated as unable to, trying to remember the words, handle safety sensitive issues. So when that happens, you're then put under prohibited or restricted status. So this is not just a major thing. It's not just a minor thing. It's a major thing because prior to this November, it was up to each state as to how to administer the SAP program. That is the substance abuse protocols and what to do to get returned to duty. Now they're making it so that all 50 states have to go under the same requirements and have to do it the same way. I'm going to display here in a few moments something that you can refer to, and of course, links in the description about the story and how to find out what you need to do if you're found to be in that restricted or prohibited status. But the bottom line is they're doing this to make the roads safer. Who here thinks that's a bad thing? I mean, if you do, put your argument in there. I want to hear it. But you know what? Last year, there was a staggering 163,000 people that was on prohibited status. This year, that number's climbed to 171,361 people in prohibited status. That was as of June 1st. So I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a rundown on what to do to get back to that. And I want to ask the question, why is it 130,289 drivers have not yet even begun the process? That's another staggering thing. If you look at this link provided, 130,000 people haven't even begun. Are they giving up? Is there something wrong with the system? Can we not get clarity? Or has our industry gotten that bad? Let me know in the comments. Call our studio line, 860-785-3547. Let's begin talking about this. Because, dude, I don't know about you, but I want a safe industry. I want to know that when I go home at night, or when I clock out and get out of the truck, I can go home at night. I want to make sure that everything I do counts for something. Safety's right there. We're going to talk more about that later in the show, but let's bring on the guests. Let's talk about this. Let's figure out what's going on in the industry today. So welcome to Big John. I'll mention Big John because we have Little John in the right corner. And we got a little guy sandwiched in between him. Let's talk to you, Big John. What do you think is going on? Do you think we're getting a lot less, maybe more careless, I guess, is a word to look for it. Maybe just not tightening up on the rules. Is it the enforcement issue we brought up maybe a couple of shows ago? What do you think's going on?
Probably the biggest issue I see is they don't enforce the rules that we already have in place. It's kind of crazy that we pass all these laws and rules and they never enforce them. There are some I wish they wouldn't enforce that they do, don't get me wrong, but they never enforce the ones that actually help trucking. And that's the biggest problem that I see.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. I mean, prior to now, I think a lot of people have the attitude that we just don't have either the resources or patience to really address safety. But now all of a sudden, I don't know what's going on, but now all of a sudden they're paying huge attention to this and other issues we talked about in the past. So I don't know. Do you blame the government? Do you blame us? What do you think? What do you think is the catalyst that actually started this ball rolling?
I don't know what started it all, but as for blame goes, if you pass a rule, like let's take this to a much smaller segment of our population. If you're a family and you're, the mother and father of the family, and you pass a rule in your house but you never enforce it, why did you bother passing the rule in the first place?
Yeah,
Basically, it's
yeah.
counterproductive. You're basically telling your kids only some rules matter. Those other ones don't really matter. We just made them so that they look good. Like, come on. Either you pass the rules and you follow them, or you don't.
Yep, exactly. So to my right, I'm going to put up a roadmap, basically that they say is the ideal path. Now, I can't blow this image up. It's strictly, an image here. Snapshot it. If you're watching on the replay, hit pause. Take a look at it because, I mean, the FMCSA has laid out a pretty stringent rule basis and a roadmap right here for what needs to be done in order to get yourself back into active status. And pretty much the name of the game is whether or not you can handle critically safety sensitive functions. That's where they get you. The moment you fail a drug test, you're put on a restricted status, and they deem you as unable to handle safety sensitive functions. Now, because of that, they then either suspend your license or restrict your status to not be able to drive a commercial motor vehicle. So right here to my right are a detailed list right here of things you got to do. Now, prior to now, it's been up to each state. But now this list right here exists for the purposes of each and every state now. It's required by federal law. And this is something you've got to do. So, Fate, welcome to the show. I'm glad you joined us. I mean, what are your thoughts about, just the idea that they're actually cracking down on this and making it a federal thing and not just a state by state thing? You feel better about that?
I do. But first off, let me say good evening to all of you. And in no way, shape, or form do I want to be united. I'm just letting you know that up front. Second off, I used to work where I used to be a driver manager. So I've actually have experience with people that failed drug tests and or breathalyzers and had to go through the clearinghouse system to be eligible to drive again.
Right.
The reality is a lot of people don't want to go through all the headaches of what they require you to do to get back to, let's say, active duty or being able to drive again, which, that's a personal thing. I am glad that they're making it a federal thing and not leaving it up to the states. The only reason I say that is because the FMCSA is a federal organization. So it should be across the board. This is what needs to be done. And this is how you accomplish that. You know what I mean?
Okay, well, think about, first of all, thank you for that point. And United States, whether it's America or trucking, either way, I think the best way to get things done is if we all at least unite in a voice. So I don't include you in a cult or a program, Scott. I respect your opinion, but that's the cause of the show. Basically, just to unite in how we feel and what we expect. Gain respect, get respect, learn more, share more. That's my thing. So, but thank you for your opinion. I love it. But to your point,
I believe that's what a union is, the United Brotherhood, correct?
But I'm not charging you $50 a month for the privilege.
I'm just messing with you.
I know. But seriously, to your latter point, though, think about this. As much as I agree with what you said, there's 130,000 people that choose not to do it. But an even more staggering fact is that right now there's 171,000 people that at one time tried to get a license, had a license, and cannot drive because of restrictions. Now that's 171,000 people that can now no longer create a fatal accident, a damaging act, an injury, or anything that maybe would negatively affect you and me on the road. And when you think about it, that's kind of a large amount of people. You know, does it speak to a bigger problem? That's the question.
Well,
On the flip side of that, you also have 170,000 people that could be there for a gamut of different reasons and could be on the road to fill this huge driver shortage that we have.
Right.
So, you know?
Yeah, but see, the driver shortage is only 80,000. But the restrictions are 171, so they're kind of hitting themselves in the butt with that one. LJ, what do you think? I mean, when it comes down to it, I mean, we've got now legislation, everything going on. I've got a couple of comments I'm going to highlight in a minute, but, you know, the fact that all the states now are basically unifying, picking on you, Scott, and becoming unified in how to get things done right and be safer, does that make you feel better, or do you have any concerns?
I don't believe anyone that's on that list should be able to drive a truck ever again. That's my opinion.
All right. Ooh. I mean, to Scott's point earlier, what he said, I fully believe. I mean, what he said raises a huge flag to me. You know, the fact that
wait. I got to jump in here. I'm sorry. But the problem with that, taking that stance is, Little John, is you can't say that. What if it's a false positive? Would you rather lock up an innocent person or let a guilty person free? Like that's your choices here. And some of those people that are on there don't deserve to be on there. So I get your stance. But does
that beg the question of there being a problem with the system? Yeah.
That's why there's a system in place to overcome that for those people that actually have false positives or actually come out of and make life changes and become people that can drive a truck.
Well, I don't think any one of us on this panel have ever had that experience. So there's no personal experience to say how hard or how easy it is to get back out of restricted status.
Wait a minute here.
Yeah, he just said.
Go ahead, Fate. Go ahead.
Wait a minute here. Can you all hear me?
Yes, very well. Go ahead, Fate.
Okay. I mean, no disrespect here, Little John. I fully disagree with that. People make mistakes. You can be on the clearinghouse list for a multitude of things, including a DWI, which, I mean, I'm not going to lie. I had a DWI when I was 22 years old. I'm 45 now. Does that mean when I was a driver at 22 that I should never have been allowed to drive again? Like, I think people make mistakes. I think if people are not willing to go through what the FMCSA and Clearinghouse have set out an easy path up to do, then they don't deserve to be behind the wheel of a truck. But everybody makes mistakes.
Looking at what you see on screen, and Fate, I don't know if you can see the screen, but I mean, does that necessarily look like an easy process? I mean, I asked the average viewer, put it in the comments. Let me know if you think this is too tight, too stringent, too much of a pain. Put it in the comments. Let me know. To your point, Scott, I mean, again, 22 years ago, that's a long time, and laws have changed, situations have changed, life has changed for everybody. And as much as I agree with you, everybody makes mistakes. Everybody has the responsibility to own up to those mistakes. And this process right here to the right of LJ's shoulder lays out a pathway to do that. Now, quite honestly, I feel good that that's there. But you know what? If you got on that list to begin with, you know, I'm sorry. The only way I've got to feel is that you did it to yourself. Yeah, there are those minor people that do have problems. You know, false drug tests, false positive. But yes, there are those cases. And to those, I feel bad.
Well,
But
even if they're
you have to
not,
look at the overall picture.
even if they deserve to be on that list,
Mhm.
don't people deserve a second chance? I mean,
They do.
honestly, and nobody in this world can say they haven't screwed up. Nobody. I mean, I see a comment
But
down
that's
below,
what.
Trucker Kersey, which I really appreciate the
Yeah.
comment, and I like her comments.
Yeah.
But she said they disrespected our jobs, and therefore keep them off the road. Well, I don't believe
Well,
that. I believe that
that's on the right.
if they can
On your
prove,
right is
if
the
they can
perfect
prove
way
that,
to justify that.
well, I'm just saying if they can prove that they're worthy and capable and they've overcome their whatever mistake they made, because we all make mistakes,
Yep.
why shouldn't they have the same shot as everybody else? I mean, I'm not
Okay.
saying you're handing the keys over to somebody that's, doing things they shouldn't be doing. I'm
True that.
saying
True that.
they've taken all the steps to prove that they're not and
Yep.
that they've
Yep.
overcome a mistake. We've all made mistakes. I mean, if that's the case, 90% of the drivers on the road shouldn't be on the road. We've all been in
We've
bad
all
places
made.
here or there. So,
Yes, we've all made mistakes. That's true.
yes.
And I got nothing against people that actually want to own up to them. Make that second chance count. I'm a second chancer, not with drugs and
Yep.
alcohol, but I've made mistakes and I've been
Wait,
given lots and lots of second chances in life, and I'm thankful and so blessed for that.
so let me be clear on what I'm hearing here.
Okay.
You won't give somebody that has a DWI a second chance. That's what you just said.
What did I say that leads you to believe that?
You said I'm all about giving people a second chance, except when it comes to alcohol and drugs.
No, I didn't say that. I said when it comes to owning up to your responsibilities, I'm all about it. If you want to do the right thing and you want to go ahead and do everything necessary to clearly follow the guidelines,
So
go through the process, I'm all for it. Second chance, go ahead. I'm all for it.
I can't see the guidelines because I'm driving right now. So this was 5 years ago.
Mhm.
What you used to have to do, let's say I sent somebody in to take a drug test or a breathalyzer and they failed it.
Right.
They immediately were restricted from driving. The next
Right.
step they had to do. Now this can be hard if you work for a company that's just going to let you go, because it is a daunting process. You have to send that person to get a chemical evaluation from a licensed, like, what do you call those people?
Substance abuse practitioner.
Yes, they have to go take an assessment to see if they have a drug or alcohol problem. Based on that, then they had to go to counseling. I mean, they didn't get their license back right away. It took like 9 to 12 months for them to be allowed to drive again. But the process was individuals, and they had to adhere to like whatever that chemical doctor said. Like if they had to go to treatment or they had to go to meetings, they had to prove not to the company, but to their person at the clearinghouse that they were doing that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And like I said, I don't know if things have changed, and I can't see what you're putting on the screen. But it can be a daunting task if you don't have somebody saying, "Hey, we're gonna send you here." You know what I mean?
Right. And I think, moreover, what they're trying to clearly demonstrate by these rules and this process is that it's far better to deal with your demons before getting behind the wheel or choosing to do the profession, because it is far easier to just keep that out of trucking and be safe and use your head and do it the right way. Don't get into that position in the first place. And I kind of understand that. And I think that's a smarter choice. But God forbid, the day comes, you get that false positive or something happens, or you make that mistake, it's a deterrent.
But you understand that this is even in your personal life, right? This has nothing to do with you being on the road driving a truck.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I go home.
Call me what you want. I think it's an overreach.
Well,
it is. I think grown adults can do what they want to do on their personal time.
Opinion noted. Grumpy, what do you think? You've been silent. Way too long. What do you think?
Grumpy's got a really good opinion right now. Look,
Send.
I have
Send it.
a good friend that I talk to once in a while. That I actually worked with him at another trucking company I was at. This man, he does things that should not be done, but he likes driving truck. Unfortunately, it got him in trouble when they popped him with a test.
Right.
That gentleman had to go through the SAP program, complete the SAP program. Then he was very fortunate to find at least one company that would take him aboard. Once he took and got on board with that company, they randomed him quite a lot.
Mhm.
And he had to watch his P's and Q's basically and dot all his I's. Well, now that that's all out of the way and he drove for that company, even though he didn't care for that carrier, he wound up moving on to another carrier, which he's with now and is very happy with. Now, let me say on this part, do I believe that drivers that do oopsies that they should not do, using substances they should not do, whether it be alcohol or other stuff? No, I do not. I do not like that idea. Do they deserve another chance? Depends. Depends on if that chance is something that's where they have a background of doing this. So in other words, if they went through that SAP program, completed it, and then they went off and screwed up again, as we'll say, no.
Right.
Bye-bye CDL, no more. And as far as a license goes for driving a personal car, I don't even think they deserve that if they're caught, doing that stuff. So, I mean, no, I don't like that.
Just like said earlier, opinion noted. And as in Fate pointing out, Kersey makes a good point. It's the legislation of other drugs. People don't think drugs are a big deal as they used to. And you know what? Her point is a good one, and I think could partially relate to the point that Fate was making a minute ago. Let's take something like prescription medication. Now, you're supposed to report any prescription medications to your doctor or DOT exam or whatever, and it's supposed to be something you're aware of and not use while you're operating commercial motor vehicles. Some drugs you can take, some you can't. But there's still issues when it comes to, what happens if, like you're on a short-term painkiller and let's say you get popped for a drug test or a random and you just didn't think it was important. Boom, now you've got a restriction. Now you've got a problem. Now you've got to go through SAP. Now you've got that needless headache of proving something that really isn't your character. But to her point, it can be a problem if people don't know the full reach of drugs, which I'm sure there's somewhere you can find. But
all them drugs are listed actually on the Federal Motor Carrier website.
I'm sure. And, to finish her point, she said, and they disrespected the gravity of our jobs. Do need to keep them off the road. If they show a propensity, Kersey, I fully agree with you. Just like Grumpy said a minute ago, if you got a history of just chronic use and you really have a hard time staying, look at a different profession. I mean, honestly, that's, maybe that's 1%, maybe it's 50%. We don't know, of that number, but I would feel a lot better knowing that there's someone actually looking and making that assessment rather than, well, I just happen to be in a state that don't care. So for that, I think good on them. It's unifying all the requirements across the board. Maybe it's catching some people. Maybe it's not. Go ahead, Faye.
Sorry, I just want to chime in. In no way, shape, or form am I condoning using drugs or alcohol and driving a commercial vehicle. In no way am I condoning that. I am merely saying, I'm an example of that. I got a DWI when I was 22 years old. You know what I mean? I was on my personal time. I had one too many drinks. I blew a .09 in the state of Minnesota when they went from 0.10 to 0.08. A month prior, I never would have had a DWI. I personally don't think that's something that should be held against me in my profession, because it was on a weekend. In no way was I.
So many years ago. I agree with you there. I so many years ago. Honestly, like even if it was tomorrow, I'm not driving a commercial vehicle.
I am out on the weekend, and I'm not saying it's okay.
Yeah,
I'm just saying we need to. I don't know what I'm trying to say now. It's like I said,
feel what you're saying. We got to be careful not to cut off the nose of the problem in spite of the face of the issue, because
if you're failing,
if you're out there personally having an occasional mistake, it should not kill your career, especially if it has nothing to do with your career. So on that, I agree, 100%.
now people have said about continuous fails of drug, that I agree with. I mean, if you're not willing to show any self-discipline or get help with a problem you might have, you probably don't deserve to be driving a commercial vehicle.
There's people, I mean, face it, we're out here every day. There's people that really don't need to be behind the wheel of a truck, and problems like that, maybe, that's the first sign. If you can't stay, off of whatever long enough. Go ahead, John.
Let me throw a personal story in here if you don't mind. I said when I was talking about getting people a second chance, I get it. I 100% agree with what Grumpy said over there. There he is. I 100% agree with him, because if it's a pattern, then obviously that's a big no-no. But where I'm coming from, in the town I grew up in, was a very small town. There were a carload of teenage kids that unfortunately didn't make it through a horrible incident in a vehicle when somebody had way too much to drink. I am very strict personally as a person, as for myself and my loved ones around me. I will not let anybody or myself get behind a vehicle with even one sip. And I know that sounds extreme, but if you actually did a study on how much a tiny bit will actually alter how quickly your decisions are made, you'd be surprised how much it will. So I'm very strict about it. All of that being said, I'm still the guy that's saying I don't mind showing some compassion, as long as it's not a constant thing like he said, and it's a one-time mistake that, they're willing to go through all the steps it takes to get back. I have no problem with that. And I understand the people that are like Lil John over here and a couple of people in the comments that are saying they should never be allowed to drive ever again. I understand that 100%, because it's my family on the road. I'm on the road. All of us are on the road. We understand the severity of what that could mean. But I also try to be human and have compassion where I can. So.
Yeah. Good comment, Kersey. A lot of people try to beat the test. If you have a plan to beat the test, you're doing something wrong.
Oh, if you're trying to beat the test, you shouldn't be driving a truck.
Exactly.
It's that simple.
Exactly.
If you are knowingly trying to manipulate a system that you are doing wrong, you shouldn't be allowed to do that anymore.
Yep.
100%.
Well,
go ahead, Grumpy. Go ahead.
If all these companies, especially with it does commercial driving, would do the hair follicle test, that's not going to beat the test. There's no way to beat that test on substances. There's no way around that.
No one can agree about the rules around that. So that's something that's an even hotter debate than what we're talking about now.
Mm-hmm.
So that's probably the reason why that hasn't been unified the same way this rule is. Where do you draw the line on hair follicle test that detected anything a year ago?
Mm-hmm.
How do you delineate someone that has a problem 8 hours ago from someone who had a problem a year ago and has already gone through the needed rehabilitation?
Mm-hmm.
That's the problem people have with that. Me personally, don't get me wrong, I agree with what you're saying. If like Kersey said, if you're looking for ways to beat the system, you're doing something you don't need to be doing to begin with. So let's get a grip on it. Let's do what's safe and right and just stay alive. That's, full stop, the way I think. We got too much at risk here, really.
Yeah, and either way it goes, there shouldn't be nobody that wants to do commercial driving trying to beat the system. Like you said earlier, find a new career.
But Kersey makes a point. Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah, a hair follicle doesn't account for certain people and certain class of people. So yeah, that's I wasn't trying to openly
I
mention
don't
that.
care.
Just
I
because it's
hate. I
legal
hope.
in that state don't mean it's legal out here.
I hate to open up this can of worms, but I'm going to have to because of that comment.
Yeah.
I don't care if your state legalizes every drug. I don't care what your
Yeah.
state legalizes. It doesn't make it okay to use it in trucking.
Right.
So,
No.
so she's saying it's not fair to the people that use it in a legal way in legal states.
Mhm.
But honestly, if you want a job, you're going to do what that job tells you have to do. And I'm sorry, that means you can't be doing that. So,
Well, I
I,
mean, basically, I mean, you as an individual have to make that choice. So, either you want to be
how important is your
compliant.
job? That's all I want to
Yeah,
know.
yeah. You have to make the effort to be compliant, or you just got to consider your line of work as maybe it's just not cut out for you. So, I mean, hey, look, I don't disagree with what Kirsty's saying, but at the same time, it always comes down to the way I open the show. It comes down to choice. You make the choice to do whatever it is you do.
You gotta take the consequences.
Exactly, Little John. Exactly. Well said. Well said. Well said. All right, hang tight, guys, because one more thing because another story came up, and it's not getting any press. I mean, obviously, but you know what? I figured it's worth mentioning because I had not too long ago made a pretty good video, and it got a lot of hits and a lot of traction when it was out. It was on insurance scams. I mean, if you're a trucker looking for advice and advocacy in insurance, I've got the article for you to read. It's in the comments or in the description. It's an article we've seen put up by trying to get my information straight. Got to scan down. Forbes.com, of all places. They're decent, when it comes down to being an incredible source. But they're talking about insurance, mainly from the standpoint of money and all that. But I'm taking this a step further because you know what? What do? I pull issues out of stories. Well, the issue I'm pulling here is, the increase in fraud over the increase in scams and our premiums. We have gotten to a point nowadays where states are having to set minimums and caps on how you sue people, how you handle civil litigation, all this. It's just become a freaking nightmare, and you know what? We're the ones to do the job. And I think much like the story before, where all 50 states are starting to come together and do the same thing to get the requirements, I think the same should be said for this. Forbes don't mention that. Forbes don't mention it, but let's face it, insurance costs have skyrocketed in just the last 4 years. And I'm not blaming administrations for that. I'm blaming the actual propagation of fraud, scams, brokers committing fraud, cargo claim fraud, all this kind of stuff. And it's all right in front of us. These charlatans concoct elaborate schemes and stage accidents for bogus claims with the intention of milking our companies or our pockets dry. It's ridiculous. And who bears the brunt of it? You and me, us small people. Okay? The mega carriers can absorb it. These big guys with 100 trucks, they can handle it. But we have to deal with it. So, case in point, things like dash cams. Everybody hates dash cams. Well, if they're forward facing, everybody loves them because it catches the bad guy. Everybody hates the inward ones. Kersey knows full well all the controversy there. But I mean, why is it so necessary to advocate for all this technology? Because of all the fraud, because of all the crappy stuff that goes on. So, I mean, let me know. What do we have to do to really straighten this out and make this place work to our advantage? Why are we stuck with a situation where we're paying through the nose because everybody else sees a golden ticket? Big John, what are your thoughts?
Sorry, I was off in
Daydreaming?
another world there for 2 seconds, but I was listening too. I don't know. Trucking is such an expensive industry, especially as a company guy. This what you're saying doesn't affect me personally, but it
No.
kind of does
It
because
does. Yep.
I mean the company itself is now paying that, which is going to trickle down to the guy that's at the bottom because you know what they say about poop, it rolls downhill. Well, I'm at the bottom. Hits me right there every time. But owner ops, they deal more directly with this, with what you're talking about. And as a former owner op, I will tell you that, yeah, that's a major issue and a major problem. So,
I mean, just for S&Gs, we all know what that term means. Insurance has always been a big deal with me. I owned a truck for 8 years. And I know that when I first owned the truck, I had a quote less than $200. And that was my monthly premium just for one side of it. I paid a lot more for insurance, but I'm just talking about basic liability insurance. That was it. Okay. I paid more like probably $1,200 a month just to run the truck total. But for just that liability policy, I needed to get the truck running. I needed to have a $200 a month policy. Now, at the end, it was almost double that. So it went up, well over my total insurance cost was well over $2,000 a month. So, I mean, my point being is the increase is slapping us in the face. I mean, in terms of the effect, what do you think, LJ? I mean, you pay insurance, I'm sure, even though you're running, in the situation you're in. You've got to pay for some insurance. You had to have noticed the increase. What do you think?
Well, I pay a 2 cent per mile towards my.
But now compared to years ago, what's that? I mean, day and night, is it similar to what I say, or are you noticing something different?
Yeah, it's all the same.
Yeah.
I mean,
one's as bad.
It hurts because the company you're running for is no longer on them; it's on you.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it doesn't matter.
I mean, that's anything. That's if Joe Schmo decides to run into the side of you.
Mm-hmm. True that. Yeah. Whether it's right or wrong, either way. I mean, insurance is there for a reason. It's to make whole those that are affected by a negative circumstance. I mean, when you think about it, I mean, it's a good thing to have, but with the amount of fraud going on, I am surprised that higher powers or those in control of making rules and, midlife would hate me. I'm on rules and regulations. No, I want uniformity. I want people to be doing the same thing and not being dishonest in the first place. But I mean, until such thing happens, what other choice do we have? I mean, what are your thoughts?
Look at it all.
Well, I'll be honest with you. We pay too much for insurance, whether it be for our vehicle or our home, our big trucks. So my honest opinion on it is too much of this fraud stuff going on. That's part of what's caused it. Too many people filing false claims. That's the other part, which leads towards fraud, more or less. And then you've got people that are careless out here that are just basically ID 10 drivers, and that's causing everything to go up. So yeah, I mean, I'm not thrilled about it. I don't pay it on big truck, but I do pay it on vehicles.
Forbes said in their article that they felt like not enough was being done to combat insurance fraud. What do you think, Fate? You think we need to tighten up, do something different, or I mean, I don't know enough about your business model to know whether you're really personally affected the way I just asked the other two people. But you think enough's being done?
Well, no, I don't. But my insurance costs went down. So I got lucky there. I do pay bobtail insurance and liability insurance and all that on my equipment and trailer insurance. But my insurance costs went down. Yeah, I don't.
Wow.
No. What was that?
Well, I was just saying, wow, to your insurance going down, but you pay for the whole thing, right? Your truck, your trailer, the whole thing.
I do not pay cargo insurance, and when I am when I am under a load like I am now, the only thing that I am carrying is bobtail insurance. The carrier's like liability insurance picks my truck up. Like if I was to get into an accident or something, it would be on the carrier versus me. But like when I'm not under a load, it's my insurance. But like I have replacement insurance on the truck and trailer.
Okay.
Which my premium is $525 a month. And that went down from $595.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I actually agree with that comment.
I was just reading it because I didn't want to be a fool and mess it up. Fellow named Michael, by the way, welcome to the channel. Says look at the drivers out here, not even the semi drivers, all of them as a whole. It's much more dangerous out here. People have no patience. Yeah. And I think that's a large part of it. I mean, a lot of the claims that are put in really didn't need to happen in the first place. I mean, if people would just take their time and think it through, the amount of time, I mean, Lil John, think about it. The amount of times you're on the road going everywhere, the amount of people that cut you off, stop in front of you, just carelessly not thinking of the room we need to maneuver. It's got to be absolutely mind-blowing for you, man.
Oh, yeah. That's why you see a lot of these companies nowadays, they've got cameras in the truck, they've got cameras on the mirrors, they've got cameras pretty much everywhere because you can't trust anybody anymore.
I mean, it's really ridiculous, which is strange. I mean, I was going to ask, back
in the early 2000s, you never saw that in here, in these trucks or out here.
No.
It's all these new, unexperienced drivers coming in, and they just don't care like we do.
No. Any thoughts, guys, on what we could? Any thoughts, guys, on what we could do with, say, the technology we have? I mean, you think anything could be said for maybe putting some more things to use to combat this fraud? I mean, think about it. We've got forward-facing cameras. We've got the inside-facing ones. Well, that's a typical thing. I mean, some of us content creators, we have an edge because I'm recording stuff as we go in addition to the dash cams. So I mean, what else can we do? I mean, any thoughts?
Just slow down.
Well, there you go. I mean, there's an obvious thing. I mean, yeah. I mean, slowing down. I mean,
well, Grumpy's got some advice for all the people out there.
Hey, there you go.
My advice to everybody that's out there that drives, whether you have a license or not, learn not to get in something bigger than yourself. That's the rule number one. Rule number two, don't try to cut them off. Rule number three, don't jump in front of them, run all the way to the left lane, and then jump back in front of them to go to the right lane about a mile down the road.
Yep.
Enough said.
Yep. 17
How am I
makes a good
supposed to
point.
get anything done?
7Cs makes a good point. Lease drivers have much cheaper insurance. And yes, we do. Or should I say carry much less insurance? Well, it depends on the company you work for because as Fate pointed out, some companies like his cover certain things, whereas others like the one Hurricane, I mean, third up. Little John, I mean, like Fate, do you have certain carry coverages you get paid for by the company, or is it all on you?
It's all on me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're responsible. Oh,
everything comes out of my pocket.
Well, what about cargo insurance? Does your company pay that, or do you have to pay that?
That's what the 2 cents for is.
Right, but that's cargo. What about?
Yeah.
So liability.
The bobtail, like my bobtail and the truck insurance, I pay almost $450 a week on that.
Wow. Yeah. So that adds up quite a bit. So whereas Fate has some of his covered, you have it all. You have everything on you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If I was to take this load and deliver it, and there was a cargo claim, it'd be on me.
Right. Michael makes an interesting point. Maybe everybody should have cameras, even the four-wheelers.
Well,
don't know, what
most
do you
of
think
them
about-
do anyway already. Most people are
do,
on their
but
most
they're
are
not
playing on
required.
their phone, doing videos, whatever, while they're driving down the road. So there's your cameras right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I don't know. What do you think,
Well-
Big John? Do you think cameras and four wheelers would make a difference?
Well, it would definitely, you'd get the full story of what happened rather than someone being able to argue against one view of one accident. You'd get multiple views of the same one. Definitely wouldn't hurt. But here's my advice to everybody. And I see a funny comment down below that you're going to get to secondly. But you can be Mr. Billy Big Rigger Super Trucker and drive like an idiot, and that's going to cause everybody's insurance rates to go up. Or you can be patient and do what you're supposed to be as a professional driver and do what's right, and all of our insurance will go down. Question is, you're never going to get everybody to join together and do that, because some people don't want to be part of a collective. They'd rather be all by themselves. Not pointing anybody in particular out, but
some people like independence. I get that. We like picking on you, Fate. Trucker Kersey says my prime truck went any slower, it'd be going backwards. That's a comment you were talking about a minute ago. Michael, good point. If everybody had cameras in the truck, would suddenly no room for fraud. Well, there would be. They just put it in a different place instead of on the road.
Well, hello.
What? Oh, you're funny. You're funny. Yeah.
yeah, I just bumped into this guy in a truck stop. He's trying to get in my truck. Help me!
The union of the brotherhood. He doesn't want to be on a union. Right. Okay.
For those of you that don't realize it, that's that good gentleman in the far corner over there that just poked his head in my truck.
Yeah.
Can I make a
Right up
comment
there.
on that?
What you got?
Every
Lil John?
truck out, about 90% of the new trucks out here today have some kind of camera system in the trucks already.
Yeah. We got our own camera system right here, and you just saw it live on TV right here, folks.
I mean, here, even me being a lease, I've got it outward and inward. So
there you go. There you go. And the inward don't bother you in the slightest, does it?
No, it don't.
No.
I mean, if you're not doing nothing wrong, you have nothing to worry about.
There you go. There you go. We got somebody in the audience that knows full well the controversy over that story. We'll cover that in another video. 7C said, did that guy just say $450 a week for bobtail? I don't know who he was referring to, but if anybody
about
here
Little John.
$450 a week, yeah. Is that what you said? Do you want to clarify that?
Yeah, that's what I get. That's what I have to pay out every week.
Yeah. Okay. Michael Burke clarifies internal facing driving, whatever in four wheelers. That might actually stop a lot, because if every time you do a distracting behavior or a screwy thing, make your insurance rates in your four wheeler go up, sucker. That would stop a lot, don't you think?
I mean, what's the first thing that's going to happen when you get in an accident with that person? They're going to go back and look at everything from whatever you were doing on your phone at that point. Whatever.
Exactly.
I mean, if you were sending a message, they're going to find it. So.
Yeah. Exactly.
But because it was involved with a big truck, then it's automatically throwing us under the bus.
We're proven guilty until proven innocent.
Yeah, pretty much. That's unfortunately the lot we carry, being a commercial motor vehicle operator. So that is what it is. Let me see. Truck Kersey says, and AI is the problem. Yes, good point. I totally forgot that. Yes. AI is picking up on a lot of things that people especially, she's even made videos pointing this out. So to your credit, Kersey, good point. AI don't honestly distinguish between a drink cup and a phone. If you take a drink, that's not distracting behavior. But yet AI will ding you for it. And they've got a point system. I'm sure, if she would like to come on one day and clarify that, or you can go to her channel. By the way, it's a pain. It really is. And I think a lot needs to be done with that AI system before they fully implement it. Four-wheelers constantly text. Good point. Yep. So I mean, yeah, we clearly have a lot of work to do. I mean, what are you doing, Frank?
I'm messing with fate.
Let me interrupt for a second here, real quick. I don't usually do this, but I want to do this real quick. Can I say something real quick?
By all means, have it.
Come here. Put me on the big screen real quick.
All right, here you go, my friend.
So once in a while, when you're at a truck stop, you bump into a guy. Now you guys don't know this guy, but I just met him. He has a YouTube and a Facebook. What's your name?
Frank Kennedy.
Frank Kennedy. So he's gonna go out and check out Truckin City Media. That's who we're live with right now. Wait. We got another guy right here. Who's that? Okay. But Truckin City Media, that's who we're live with. He does like news stories and stuff for trucking. You definitely love it. You definitely love it. Oh yeah. Well, we don't want to get a copyright strike, so can't play that while we're on here. But all right, man. So there you go, guys. Go check out his channel. I really do appreciate it. Check out Driving with John and Truckin City Media. All right.
Yes, sir.
All right, man.
Hey.
What was his name one more time?
And the Grumpy Trucker too.
What was his name one more time, John?
Sorry, I didn't mean to do that to you, but the guy come up, knocked on my door, and asked if we were on YouTube, and I'm like, yeah, we're live. Hang on a second. That's why I got rid of my camera there for a minute.
No problem.
Awesome.
Man. What was his name one more time?
Something Kennedy. Shoot.
Yeah, go ask him before he leaves.
Trucking Kennedy.
Trucking Kennedy. All right, everybody go check him out. We're making live associations right here in your face, guys. We love doing this kind of stuff. Honestly, impromptu stuff. You can't plan or script this. I don't care what you do. Look, at the end of the day, I got one more argument to make, and this one's kind of a little bit personal. So, I'm going to take back my screen. Thank you. When it comes down to it, safety, decisions, and owning up to what we do is all going to start with you. You are the bearer of your future. You hold responsible everything you do, and it's your choice to make. And there are a lot of people out here that decide, you know what? I got better things to do. I got to make a profit. I don't care. The bottom line is more important than the safety or the happiness of the people that work under me. And I got a message to you folks. If that's the way you run your business, God bless you and God keep you. You're not going to last long. But when it starts interfering with my bottom line, I'm going to step up and say something. And what's more is if you bring it to my attention and put it on my show, I'm going to give you the floor. Because you know what? Your happiness and your choice should not affect others. And there are people here that have some personal experience to speak to when it comes to operating safely a motor vehicle, making the right choices, and getting the job done. He's already spoken a little bit briefly tonight, but I'm going to give him an opportunity to really hit it on the head. When it comes to making sound choices and making the right ones to keep your equipment safe, your drivers well maintained, well informed, you owe it to the people that work under you. Grumpy, you got something to add to that, my friend?
I do. Currently, with the company that I currently am working for, we have got a lot of equipment issues. We have mechanics at our shop. They are slammed. But we also have a lot of trailers that are just not DOT legal. Therefore, I want to say something. If you cannot get it fixed at your terminal, let's get it fixed out here on the road. Let's get it into a professional shop, get it done, get it over with so that it's legal, safe, and, you know, by far, let the driver make that decision if it is or not safe, because he's the one having to tote it around. He's the one having to operate it. So therefore, it's his license as well as your CSA score and as well as the driver's PSP score. So I must say, I've done this for 24 years almost, coming up in September. I'm very safe with what I do, and I take my profession very well. And I tell you what, if nobody wants to know, how to take care of your equipment right, hey, I can have you take care of it, but I want to be compensated too. And $100 a day, as you'll see on one of my videos, I did a short video. That's not enough for me to sit while I'm waiting to get stuff fixed. I should be paid a lot better than that.
We have a process in place. That process enables every single driver on this panel, in the audience, and those watching this video to operate a vehicle safely. Use that system. If it's available to you, use that system. The DVIR system, as we know it, is there for a reason. It's to acknowledge there's a problem, address that problem, put attention to that problem, and put it behind you. It's everybody's responsibility to both use it, honor it, make it right, make it work, and make the right choice. At the end of the day, nobody can make choices for you. Only you can. Anyone got anything to add to that?
Well, and those DVIRs, for those of us that are, or not me, but others that are watching us that don't understand trucking lingo and short forms, DVR stands for Driver Vehicle Inspection Report. It is a must. It lets your company know that is unsafe to drive or that is safe to drive.
It is crucial to use
Or
it.
VIR.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. The amount of times people take for granted just the simple fact that it's even there. I mean, they blow it. They just check. It's ridiculous. Use it. It's there for a reason. What are we going to say, Lil?
At my company, we actually have to take pictures of all sides of the trucks and trailers.
Yeah.
So that way it's not mixed up. And with us, we have to fill up the reefer, so we have a lot of issues with that.
Yeah. Look, you know what? You can't fix issues if you don't know about it. We're here fixing issues right now as we speak. Little John, Grumpy, Spate, Midlife, Big John, all of us. We're bringing you issues. Saturdays, Wednesdays, love it or like it. We are trying to unite you with us and others out there to do the job, do it right, and make sure at the end of the day, you can get home at night. You know what? Safety is a choice. You start, you finish. Make the right choice. Do the right thing. The trucks make the delivery, but you, with the choices you make the difference. Operate safely. Think it through. Keep it real. Keep the faith. And God willing, keep it rolling.